absolute dream trip coming up the rail and sort of passing this horse in the late stages. I'm not trying to beat her. She should be stalking the 1 in here. I know she's a much shorter price today, but I think she's much the best horse.
Yeah, I mean, I have her second in here too, and she can certainly win. I just had another small, cute idea, but and listen, it was like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, right? The drop and the stretch out helped, but then showing the speed actually got forced into dueling all the way around, and then just got picked off late by a perfectly timed ride from the winner. So. I mean, certainly can win. I was just going to end up ultimately taking the horse that's probably going to be second or third choice.
We'll take a look at the last dirt race. This was in the slop at Churchill for Yo Levin, who is making a first start on the dirt for Bill Morey, which I assume is one of the reasons you picked this horse.
Yeah, when you watch this race, I mean, I know the race kind of came apart, and she had a good trip until she ended up being wide in the stretch, but she still kind of ran it down, and she hung in there.
Race did collapse.
Yeah,
stages though.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Not
no,
that
that's
she
fair.
can't win.
Yeah, no. So, last time out just had no shot, and the chart to me is wrong too because the horse kind of got into traffic instead of hanging. But that's a different story. The only thing that concerns me with this horse, I just want to see a little bit more forwardness out of this horse, a little bit more speed because it seems to disappear the last 2 starts.
Bad chart call in Kentucky.
It's shocking, right? I know. It's
I'm overwhelmed.
So, but first time on the dirt here for Bill Murray has that outside post. I think this horse, it's a decent enough stalking trip in here. It was just an alternative to the 4 because I just think those were the 2 horses you want.
It's hard to believe by post time these won't separate themselves. Now, David has the 2. Soundbite is a second choice. David's usually right about these things. I didn't see it. I think Soundbites had the share of chances. Now, does drop in for a tag for the first time for Mike Trombetta, and I'm a big fan of Mike and the work that he does. And this horse does have fast figure going one the way back, but I'm with you. I mean, I thought if you want to beat the 4, you're supposed to go with the Morey horse. So just on the assumption, Bill claimed this from Jimmy Baker, who's just not winning that often and not running that many horses. And we've seen it with Bill Morey. His horses run, and I think you have to be scared of him. Every time he runs a horse, particularly a horse who's like a new face, and a first time in the dirt for Bill, though what surface this horse prefers, I don't really know. It seems like he's equally mediocre on all surfaces.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, we'll see what we get out of him. And the 2, like you said, never just got back to those debut races for the 2. And I just feel even the drop may not help. We may have seen what this horse is already.
I think if you're beating the 4, like you, I think that's going to happen with a stranger, a new horse.
Yeah.
I mean, not the 2 isn't a stranger, this bunch also. But I'm more on the Morey bandwagon perhaps than some. We'll see how it plays out. Race number 2, not a lot of form to go on in race number 2, which I guess allowed you to pick Arcadian. Now, how close a friend with the Greg Sacco barn are you? Because I know there was one day when I was out when you picked 2 impossible horses of his in the last race to run 1-2.
Well, didn't MTJ scratch that day though?
You only got 1 in?
I only got 1 in.
So what is your Sacco thing?
I don't know. I don't think it's a Greg Sacco thing. More is that I just landed on this horse hoping that this horse will finally break today and be able to.
Because horses that get left, they finally wake up one morning and stop getting left.
I hope so. I hope today's the day, bro. I really do. I really do. I think the drop helps this horse a little bit too. I'm just not convinced. I don't want MG Dash now this time, even though I have the horse 4th. And I think your horse, who I have 3rd, can absolutely win this race.
You didn't put Greg Sacco 1-2. He's not going to be happy when he finds out about this.
I bookended him. 1-4.
It's not my fault, Greg, that he's abandoned you.
Between him and Jimmy Ryerson, those are the 2 we got.
Greg Sacco's become your new man.
I know. I kind of got off the Jimmy. I understand.
Greg wins.
I think I'm hoping just the drop will help today. A better break. We've seen it before with some horses too that finally break well, that have had some troubled breaks. They can get a trip in here. I think gets Lasix today too. We'll see what he does. I was just not convinced about your other 2
this
horses.
This horse had too much pedigree to sell for only $22,000 as a 2-year-old. But Altesse that's the Courtly D family. If you go back, and those horses usually cost a little more money. I'm not going to knock any horse.
Aldiza was the second dam too, right? When you go back.
Probably it's all those Courtly Ds. They go back to Althea and all those horses going way back in the 70s to the mighty Courtly D. Who
I won't be surprised. Like I said, if he breaks well and he gets a little bit more forward trip today, if he could just.
I'm not going to fall out of my chair if anybody wins this race. To be honest with you, there's absolutely no legitimate form to go on, and I think think that for me, there's two places I want to go. I'm surprised you don't have the 4 Daytona Moonshine in there, simply on the Jamie Ness claim. And I know it's getting away from Chad Brown, but I don't care. I'm not going to not use a horse that's now. Maybe you're right. I'm not. I'm just saying I'm not going to let a horse go into Jamie Ness's barn. I don't care if the horse is going from Sonny Jim Fitzsimmons to Jamie Ness. I'm not letting those horses beat me. Purchase is $17,000 at the sale. I guess that's the digital sale.
Yeah, yeah, that was the digital sale. I drops in here.
But the horse is fast enough to win anyway.
Yeah, I guess so. Based on the last race, came running really late.
The figures
in the
are
race.
there.
Yeah,
right?
4th and 6th place came back to me. And I probably should have had this horse a little bit higher when I think about it.
Maybe you're right. I don't know. I took Broderick on the outside.
Yeah.
Because I thought of all the, you see like Jamie Ness, Chad Brown, right? You got Linda Rice, the 7, well suited, whose first race was good enough. She claimed the horse from Mott. The horse stunk last time. Linda wins with these kind of horses. I thought that those were the names sort of that would take the money in there. And all due respect, Pat, I think Pat's a very good trainer, but he's not going to take the same kind of money. He doesn't have a built-in money play.
Right. Yeah.
And I felt like this is a horse who, running a 49, a 43 buyer in this field, kind of makes him the horse to beat. At least he's done it twice. Nobody here has run figures that high and done it in both starts, draws well on the outside. And I'll tell you something about Christopher Elliott. When he came here, I thought he was completely lost out there. And I think he has adapted to the racing here in a very, very, very quickly. And I think that's something you're always, it's one thing when you see riders that are okay and they just sort of go along. But I think he's got a lot better. I'm not saying that he's Manny Franco at this point, but he's getting better. And draws outside. I mean, I just thought it was a logical horse getting a mile.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to see this horse do is change leads a little bit quicker. But other than that, I have no knocks on this horse. I have the horse start. I think all of the 2, 7, and 8 can win in here. I mean, you look even the last race, Tapazar Temper ran second, Brave Bear came back to win. So it's a live race in itself. And this horse should be able to get a nice trip from the outside. And yeah, Christopher Elliott has really grown. We'll talk about a horse later on, Follow Your Heart, that I think he's done really well with.
Yeah, being on a gold rail. That was amazing job that Christopher did, getting him onto a gold rail.
No, the second start. I'm talking about the start before that when he was aggressive with the horse, because he's been aggressive now in spots too. Where
he's become a more aggressive rider, which I like to see.
Yeah, that's what I meant more of.
I was looking through the winners of the Apprentice Jockey Award, and it's a who's who of who. What strikes me as absolutely amazing? Do you know that neither Ortiz brother won it?
Really? I thought for some reason
Feels
I was
like
thinking,
that's a bet you could win in a bar argument or something.
Yeah,
Neither Ortiz won.
I would have thought Irad.
I don't remember Irad as an apprentice that much, to be honest with you. I remember him questing, and Kieran showing confidence in him, and that kind of elevated him into people saying, "Wow, if Kieran's confident enough to ride him in a Grade 1 and just losing the bug." But I feel like Jose burst on the scene in a big way.
Yeah.
After Irad.
Yeah, and I was thinking like Irad would have been the one who would have.
Maybe
actually
it was a
won
weird
over the
timing thing or something.
Yeah, maybe they didn't. I would think they would have had enough time and enough to qualify.
Legitimately great riders. Who were good. Like I said, I don't remember Irad, but I can't remember thinking he sucked. And I know that Jose was terrific as an apprentice. I was stunned.
That's
crazy,
actually. Yeah.
Numbers. Anyway, we'll see what happens in race number 2. You should play the game that I played the other day. Look through the last. I have never heard of 3 of the last 8 winners of that award, which says something. Anyway, maybe about me. Race number 3. This is a bit of a mess in here, and I guess we look at She's a Little Edgy, the number 1A in this race, and Maggie T scratched, and I'm not going to make an argument against this. This is a horse that has sort of semi-layover figs in the last 2. I put the horse second. I think you and I picked the same horse in this race, but I'm not against her. I just didn't feel like picking her on top.
I wouldn't be shocked if she wins, and it seems like she's come back now to her best efforts, and she's been claimed by Rudy in here. Each race has gotten better. And listen, I thought even the last race in defeat, she was just as good as the win.
Where's her, other than the race she was claimed out of, I mean, this is a horse who's run in 10 races, 9 times in the mid to low 70s with an 80-something in there. This horse just consistently running fast enough to win this race. Sure. Why are we supposed to be worried that she's not going to show up?
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely going to show up. I guess the question you're going to have is she going to face any pace pressure from Gridlock outside of her? And,
how much pace pressure do you think Gridlock is going to put on her? Gridlock.
Gridlock was fast last time.
Brazina's going to go?
Possibly. I mean, from the outside. I mean, listen, they hustled her last time to get position, and she ended up in between horses. The start before that, she was pretty quick out of the gate. So I mean, we'll see what happens, but she could definitely. I'm sorry, but she's a little bit edgy. Can be loose in here too, as long as she's
Yeah,
fast enough.
I mean, we'll take a look at Brazina and Matitude running at Laurel. I guess last time out for
Yeah.
Brazina and two back for Matitude, who seemed to improve on a wet track. Matitude. I mean, I have nothing against this horse, Brazina. She could certainly win this race. Stalk it on the outside. Jamie Ness's numbers for non-claiming types in New York are pretty good.
Yeah, she ran in here. You know, they hustled her to get her position and everything. I'm not sure that she wanted to be in the spot she was in, but she still ran on in here anyway to be second in here. Matitude, I just don't kind of trust coming out of that race. I feel like she got better
She's a
with the
big price
surface.
here.
Yeah.
What about Killy Start?
For me, I think this horse is just handy enough to sit the right trip off of whatever speed's in here. And I know she hasn't won here yet in New York, but I think she's just faced tougher
The
horses.
pace projector has her back towards last.
I think she's going to be a little bit closer than that, don't you think?
No.
From the, you think she's going to really be last in here?
I don't know. I didn't say she's going to be
Oh, well,
last.
you said the pace
I said she's
projector.
going to be
Yeah, yeah.
towards the back of the pack. No, I don't think she has much speed.
I mean, I think.
Where's her race where her pace puts her really in the race? I don't think it's going to be
Well, last
10
last
lengths
time
out
out,
of
she was
it.
a couple of lengths out. I mean, I don't think she's going to be 10 out, but I think 3 out is probably legit for her in this spot. I mean, look, you look at the fields she's run against. I mean, Patricia Ann now has really come back into form the last 2 races. I mean, we knew there was talent there
She
with her.
beat
She's
much
starting to
better
show it.
horses
Sure.
the other day
Yeah.
when she won. I don't disagree, and that's kind of why I
Yeah.
picked her. Thought she ran well last time. I'm a fan of Fernando Abreu. This horse is running well, so I took her as the alternative
Yeah.
because I didn't love the 7 in here. Brazina is the other horse in here, but I don't have a great deal of love for this horse in this race. I just thought she was the right alternative to the 1A.
Yeah, and I just kind of also feel like last time, I missed the boat last time with Jackson's Dixie, too. I don't know why they put that horse on the front end, but it worked last time, and it's not going to work in this spot either.
Well,
so.
they got off that apprentice
Yeah.
rider who lost the irons and
Well,
still almost won.
Yeah.
Not sure irons have helped him too much in the past
No.
as it is anyway.
Yeah.
Race number 4, we'll take a break after 4. We'll get to talk about your horse, Follow Your Arrow, who you have a far more optimistic opinion of than I do.
yeah, listen, I have this horse second here. I mean, 2 back, she got a few lengths in front of that group and bravened up and won, and that's what you like to see, being aggressive in those kind of fields with those kind of maiden claimers in there. And last time out, took advantage of the absolute goldest of gold rail days. I'm not going to lie there. So it was a logical spot, nevertheless, for the horse. So I'm sure, you know, she was probably aided with the track, but she's
Probably?
Well,
she was severely
No,
aided
she
by
was.
the
But
track.
she also has speed too, and I'm assuming today she's going to be the inside speed if she wants it,
Well,
probably
with
in
the
front of
two-scratch,
these as well.
there's no
yeah.
other speeds whatsoever in this
So
race.
she's going to be probably loose in here if Christopher wants it, and I do have the horse second in here. So
Well,
and
Manny Franco's
that's
riding her, not Christopher Elliott.
Manny Franco. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's the speed. I don't like her at all.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think the reason to like her would be if you've confused yourself and pay no attention to the morning line, because keep in mind
Yeah, it's-
how sweet she is the one being bet in the entry. Union Suit was probably the one being bet in the entry, and Roman Goddess, I'm guessing, was probably the favorite morning line who came out in this race. So, you know, and my first 3 picks came out of the race. So at this point, I have very little interest in this race.
Yeah.
It's just been completely all the horse taken out. Now, for you, you like the 3 and 4, so it's going to hurt you and severely
Yes,
hurt
for
your prices. What am I missing with Last Glory?
I just feel like maybe this is the right spot for this horse, because you take a look at the horse's last 2 starts back race for 16,000. I know that field was weak, and I know that horse got lucky to win the race, but she was the biggest class dropper in that field that day, even regardless of that. And she faced much better prior. Well, yeah,
hang on a second. She was a class driver of a race that she got beaten 23 lengths in.
Right,
She
but-
was broke her maiden at a $25,000 maiden claimer on the Meadowlands on the
Correct.
turf.
Yeah.
So I don't know that she was she was a class drop off a race she was entered in where she was 80 to 1 and had no chance.
right.
Right, but she's been running in cheaper races.
Right,
It's
but-
not like she hasn't faced some weaker fields. It's not on the dirt.
No, true, but she did win that race anyway. I know the race came up slow on the slow side anyway, but she did win. She handled dirt obviously against claimers by winning that race. So maybe this is just the right spot from her to sit off of a horse like the 4 in here if there's not much speed and just be able to pick this horse up.
She's the longest shot on the board, whatever price she ends up. I'm not going to knock her. I didn't particularly see it, but frankly, I can't bet the 4. I would never bet a horse that's going to be bet off of a bias-improved effort. I think she's woefully slow. I don't disagree. She's the speed. And I'll say something else. normally I would say this is a good trainer change, but Chad Summers' horses have been running out of their skin now for about 6 weeks or so here, maybe longer. So I'm not sure that necessarily you're looking for horses to move up, leaving out of that barn, as they have in other times. It's a very strange race. Why is Rick Dutrow running Tipsy Runner in here? A closing sprint, turf sprinter, and he's not only trying another time, now to be fair, ran the slop last time out, but the other dirt race I think was pretty bad. The dry track race, getting this horse a mile, but it's Rick, so I'm not going to be surprised in a terrible field if he wins. I end up with the 6 on top. I was going to change my picks with the scratches, but at the end of the day, I know it was sort of a ridiculous effort, but it wasn't a big, huge speed bias from this horse that ran the big figure last time, and the horse ran another good figure before that. Maybe this horse has just improved a little bit. Something obviously went wrong last time out at 5 cents to the dollar. I'll take a shot. I don't like this horse, but the 1A Ribbons Her Hair, yeah, Jamie Ness is running the worst one of the entry.
Yeah, but
why that is, I don't know. Belle of the Ball, she doesn't really look like she wants a mile, and she's been horrible in her races. But it's Linda, so are you ever surprised when they randomly improve?
no, and last time, I mean, I know the race was bad, but it was like that little hint of life. Sometimes you see like the tiniest little hint. And
It was
now,
a tiny hint.
yeah, and now going
Horse
back
ran
out
the
to
worst
mile.
buyer figures ever run
I know, but
since
at least the
the
horse was
mile.
forward in the race. Even
Yeah,
though it
but
was
she
a bad
didn't.
buyer.
She.
But like
she
you
didn't-
said, it's Linda. and
I'll
you just
disagree
don't
with
know.
you. I think
Yeah.
she ran fourth because the field sucked.
Well, but I have the horse. Yeah, I mean, basically, you have the horse second, I have a fourth. But now it's just like, what are you going to do? I mean, my top picks weren't, affected by this race.
Well, you were
Price
affected
was.
because your price
My
is going
price
to be
is now
badly
slammed,
affected.
yeah.
This race, to me, is a complete mishmash. So maybe
Yeah,
you're
I
right
agree.
taking the longest shot on the board in here. I certainly have no strong opinion. This race, we'll take a break and come back with a late pick 4.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at nairabets.com.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Paul Verderosa and Andy Serling as we turn our attention to race number 5. And I think in here you have to decide how you feel about the firsters or whether or not you want to take a horse like Willful Mama. I put her second. She might win by default, but my general feeling was if any of the firsters can run in here, I want to bet against her. I don't think she's much horse. And I'll tell you something, I don't trust that figure in her last race.
I don't know what to make of it. I just feel like she ran a winning race last time because she put away Vito Samara and then just kind of opened up, and Straka got a perfect trip and just nailed her.
She didn't nail her. She beat her by 6 lengths.
Nailed her to pass her and then went on, I should say. I'm sorry about that. So, but it opened
She
up
didn't
on
just
her.
nail her.
Yeah, she buried her. So, but to be fair, I just feel like if she runs that race again in here, she's probably going to win this race unless the 1 can actually run, because that's the first.
Well, or the 4 can run, or the 5 can run, or the 8 can run.
The 1 is probably the firster that I wanted more out of the group. But I just feel like Willful Mama ran a race last time that would make her tough in here if she runs back to it.
Well, I think it just depends.
Yeah.
And it is 7 furlongs first time out. I'm not going to be surprised if she wins. I'm not going to pick her on top. I don't think she's much horse. So looking through, there's actually a little bit of pedigree. You look through. I mean, the 1 comes out of the runners weren't very good. The dam wasn't terrible. Probably the horse who has the best progeny is there's couple of horses from Bullish Sentiment, Juliana's Dream. Who seemed like they could run, so I don't think she's impossible. TT Jorge Abreu has a firster with Royal Bobby, so why couldn't that horse be a runner? Yeah. I just took the David Duggan because his horses have had speed. He's been very live lately. So I'm absolutely guessing in a situation where you're inclined to take the horse that have run, and you may well be right. I'm inclined in this case to take horses that haven't run.
I also feel like with the 1, too, the work 3 back, too, I think shows that this horse is probably going to have a little bit of speed, and his horses have had speed.
Back too.
So I'm just kind of that was the firster that I wanted out of the group. Tower 22 was just a weird horse for me because that race, the winner of that race, Oklahoma Smoke, took all the heat in that race. It was another Jorge Abreu first-time starter. It was 6-5 in there.
Yep.
Took all the heat. and they're still won and made it tight on Tower 22 in that race as well in the stretch a little bit. I mean, I don't think it ultimately would have
Well,
mattered.
she was sucking up the rail.
Yeah,
and
I
angling
don't
out.
think it would have mattered, but I just feel like the figure came up a little slow in that race. I'm not a big.
You know why?
Can
She's slow.
Maybe that's true. I mean, I don't know really. I'm not like as good as you with putting together the figures like super quick. So I was just wondering why that was kind of like on the slower side. 'Cause I thought the
From
race
US has the horse slow
was a little
too,
faster.
so
Yeah.
I
So for me, it was a couple of horses there. I'm going to be using all the 1, 2, and 6. I mean, that's what I'm going to be using in multis and hope I get through there.
All right, we'll see what happens in race number 5. You can take a look at, if you're playing Big 5 starting the 4th, you can take a look at the horses taking money, the firsters in the double, race number 6. Going to be a heavy favorite in this race with the 8 More Than Grace. Will show a running second. The Lucille Ball, kind of a promising horse. And I don't have a big argument. I mean, I don't know. Some horses have come out and not run that well out of the race. A horse won on the turf out of this race. Third horse came back and didn't run that well, but had run faster figures before it. 7th horse ran worse races. She's the horse to beat, but I don't know. I didn't want to pick her on top.
Yeah, I put her on top just based off of this race. I felt there was a lot of 8s and 4s in here. She ran well enough, and Lucille Ball's back on the work tab now, so we'll see what she does as we're going forward. And I just thought that, she was just second best to a horse that was just well-meant and professional that day, and she's got an outside draw in here. Flashes that same kind of chase or speed in here. She's going to be the horse to beat in here.
She's got to run back to her debut. I'm going to bet home wrecker in this race
Yeah.
if her price is around 4-1 in here. Wanted to show her start, and I know that, it wasn't particularly a great field. The winner had run okay, but she gets absolutely sloughed when the number 5 comes over and basically takes her race. I think the 5 may have won the race, actually.
Yeah.
She ends up in last. We'll take a look at the pan of the race and take a look and show you just how bad that trouble was. And she really, this is her first start and just totally taken out of the race completely. She's going to settle way, way back in this race and come running a bit at the end. You know what? She's running a 43 buyer with trouble back in July, which is 6 months ago. So routine improvement puts her a good 8 to 10 points higher in buyer scale. So now you've got her in the 50s. I don't think it's unreasonable to assume she had 4 or 5 lengths of trouble in this race. So now you've got her figure into at least the 60s somewhere. And you got a horse that's probably going to be a fair enough price. And she did a little bit of running in this race. I know the race was kind of over, but she's picking up some ground. I'd rather take a shot with her than a horse like the 8. I'm more worried about first-time starters.
Yeah, Homewrecker's the other horse I wanted out here because, as you said, it wasn't even once. She got wiped out twice in that spot and still was able to make up ground. They put blinkers on her today, and the winner out of that race, they've been ambitiously putting that horse in graded stakes races on dirt and turf as Catch Can almost
She hasn't
won.
run since the fall.
Yeah, and as Catch Can almost won a grade 3 on synthetic too. So the field was okay that came out of there. She's the other horse that I want out of there just based on the trouble. So it was 4s and 8s for me.
Well, I mean, I do think you have to take a careful look at the firsters. The 1 Delaware Devil for Linda Rice, a quality road, a half to portage, while there is a turf horse in the family as well, a couple more turf. There's enough dirt in this one, and this seems like a Linda Rice horse that has enough pedigree, and I think this horse could be very, very dangerous. And here, you obviously don't agree.
Yeah, Evan's homebred in here. I had the horse 5th. I just wanted a couple of horses that ran in here.
Yeah, I think you need to make sure you're looking at horses like the 1 and 6. The 6 By the Moon, another quality road. They're quality roads running in these maiden races here in the winter. Dam made over $1.5 million. She's a half to Full Moon Madness. So who's into Mischief and Full Moon Madness, a very nice horse. Probably should have won the stake here the other day.
Yes, yeah.
There's a lot of pedigree on the 1 and 6, I think, and horses I would not want to be dismissive of in this race. You've got the 7/3. I just don't see how that horse wins this race.
Yeah, for me, like I said, it was 4s and 8s, and then everybody else. The 7 is what she is after that first race too in here. So the winner wired the field in that spot. Was just looking for somebody else as an alternative on the bottom.
See what happens in race number 6. Eddie, why don't we blow off the replay in race number 7, because I don't really have much to say about that horse, and I don't think that you've taken on top.
I originally had Mr. Swagger in here, and then when he came out, I changed my picks completely in here.
So why don't you explain that?
Who I have, or
yeah,
okay. I didn't know if you wanted me to explain. So no, for me, taking the 1 Scaramanga on top showed speed on the stretch out last time, and all the horses that this horse has run against in the last 2 starts. Look at Montebello, Valenzen Day, Cold as Hell, Super Chief, Poppy's Pride. They all routinely buy her much higher than horses in this group that he's facing today. And I think this horse is going to be forward from a spot in here. And the scratch of Mr. Swagger, I really did not want the 8 on top, and I wasn't crazy about anybody else. So I went to my other pick that I was going to originally put on top in the 1.
Okay, I'm not sure how much I followed that, but okay. I like Scaramanga in this race. I thought the Scaramanga is the speed of the speed in here. I'm sorry the 3 came out because I didn't like that horse at all. Last time out, that was a very honest pace that kind of collapsed. I think Montebello and Valenzuela Day are better horses necessarily than she's running against. I think her form has been good for Razio de Paz, and I took a shot with this horse to wire the field in the race. That's why I liked her. But I think there's other horses that have to be talked about. Why don't you talk about the number 8, Flat Out Flying, who I have 4th?
The antics are his biggest problem because he just can't seem to get out of the gate in the last couple of starts. So if he could kind of put those antics away, and with the drop in class today, I think he might be able to catch a decent enough trip from the outside. I mean, Running Ray has looked like the old Running Ray. That's who we ran into last time. So I was hoping for a much better break this time out.
All he did was suck up for second.
Yeah.
As the race was collapsing behind Running Ray.
But Running Ray also ran a much better race than he has run. So yeah, so I'm hoping just with a little bit of a drop in class and a softer field for this horse and some less gate antics, maybe this horse will be in there in the number again today.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan, but obviously this is a wide open race. I thought the 4 was dangerous to bait. I mean, this is a horse who's running against significantly better horses, was claimed for 25. They're kind of giving up, but I think if you look at this horse, I'm not going to hold last time out, jammed on the rail last time at Parks. And time before that, ran against significantly better horses than these. So the figures aren't that bad. I think that horse rates a chance dropping down. I certainly think he got this. He's got this is not impossible in here as well. So I'm going to look at horses like that, but I was hoping that Scaramanga, the Bond villain, could wire the field. As we move on to race number 8. We'll take a look at Al's Ruby, the horse you have on top, and I'll let you talk about her.
So nothing wrong in 2 starts, for Christophe, and we'll see today. I think she's going to have to get a little bit faster to get the job done in here from a figure standpoint. But what I like about this horse is that she's been in bigger fields, she's been in bulkier fields, she's been involved in paces and been in and around horses, and she's been able to finish off her races. You watch her running down to the line here, and you could just see how she finishes off her races. She's strong finishing it off. She's not getting tired. Her ears are up. She's putting in a good effort. I don't think they've gotten to the bottom of her yet either because they haven't really asked her for run in those 2 starts. So we'll see where she sets up shop today in here because I think there's probably a few other horses in here that are going to dispute the pace. That may be a little bit faster.
Well, hang on a second. The race was changed when Amazing Dottie came out of the race because she was going to be forward in here, and I think it makes the pace a little bit less contentious, and it probably works in her favor. Now you've got Sue Ellen Michigan, who stays in, and you've got this horse, my Magic Wand. Now I don't like my Magic Wand.
I don't either.
In this race, I think she's completely. You can roll that video, Eddie. She's completely dressed up by a gold rail and 2 races back, and then last time out, she's dressed up by the fact that she was beating geopolitics.
Yeah.
I think the race got much more contentious, but to be fair, with the scratch, the pace got a little bit easier for her.
I agree that it got a little bit easier for her, but I just don't trust her. And I guess if you want to make the argument that the 6 furlong distance may help her in here as opposed to being a little bit longer off, what was a dressed up win 2 back in geopolitics, I just don't think is that much horse anyway. So
I don't think she's fast enough to win this race. She's not fast enough to be competitive off this race.
Yeah.
And I think her first race, the figure is blown up by the fact that she was aided by a bias, whereas Al's Ruby, who overcame a bias and came back to win her first start today. The rail was very good, and she is good. Now, you say they haven't got the bottom roll. She's only run twice. I'm not really sure what you really want, but she's going to have to probably get a little faster,
work a little harder.
This race.
Yeah.
I think this is a significantly better horse, but Embraceable Gal ran well and was unlucky to lose the other day when she ran here. I want to show a race with Maggie's Palace running second, just narrowly beating Miss Lau last time. This was a day where I don't think you wanted to be inside. I think all the races had a real outside flow to them. And not surprisingly, Romero stayed towards the inside, as he often does. And I just think the way the track was playing, the way the race was run, she was somewhat hampered by trying to get it done in that situation. Now, I know the horse who won the race was down towards the inside speed, and she sort of ran against it as well. But she showed up. That's a horse that ran huge in her debut, and she actually showed up in this race. I'm a Dennis Lauman fan. This horse has run well every time for Dennis, and I think she's very, very logical in here.
Yeah, I have the horse fourth in here. I agree with you, and I'd rather have her out of that race than Maggie's Place for sure, just based on the trip.
I agree. I think we should talk about True Empress. I'm not sure why True Empress doesn't fit in this race. It's not like she didn't run that well in Saratoga and run the same kind of figure she's been running at Finger Lakes, and she's running a figure that makes her contentious in this race. She actually ran fairly well. She caught wide. She drifted way back after breaking well up in Saratoga. Now she gets Ruben Silvera, who's a more aggressive rider. So I'm not saying she has speed, but I don't think he's going to let happen what happened with Perez that day. I don't know why she isn't a serious contender here.
Now I have the horse second in here for all the reasons you just said, and I also think she's probably the more reliable mid-pack closer that you'd want as opposed to Maggie's Place on the outside. So I have her second.
You have Sue Ellen Michigan in for third. She's a speed horse, but she didn't run that badly in her last race. But she was kind of clunking up with the flow of the race, I thought.
I just think she's just been solid in every start that she's run, here since going back to probably November of 23. So I just figure she'll be forward in here. She doesn't necessarily need the lead if Al's Ruby's on a dead send or the 11 decides to go, but she's probably better being in front, I would think. But she ran well last time. I know it was kind of a clunk up behind My Bronx Baby, but it was still a decent enough effort.
She beat Harlan's Bond.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's still a decent enough effort. She's still getting there, at least running first or second.
I feel like her good figures are races where she's had very much things go her own way. Her win over Lady Mine, she was very much the racetrack, and Lady Mine ran a lot better than she did. And with other speed in here, I couldn't take them, but I'm never surprised when Linda Rice fools me and her horses run better than I expect. Paul, thank you very much.
Always fun.
Thank you for watching. Head on over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code BONUS200 and we'll match up to $200 of your initial deposit. Check out track stats when you're there as well. Also, Tampa, 20% bonus on doubles at Tampa. Opted at Naira Bets. Take you about 3 seconds to take care of that. We got a pick 5 with Tampa, 3 at Aqueduct, 6, 7, and 8, and 8 and 9 at Tampa. The 9th's a turf race. The 8th is not. And we are on from 2 to 4:30, where we'll be covering all the action from here and Tampa Bay through the end of our card, starting at 2 o'clock, ending at 4:30. Thanks again, Paul.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Chris Griffin. Up next with a reprise of the Scratches and Changes. Have a great day.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.